And a brine is simply a marinade made with salt and sugar and water. And by the mystical process of osmosis, when you place a piece of chicken or a whole chicken in the brine, the meat absorbs the brine. It's a common problem, chicken that comes off the grill dry. There's a simple solution: cure it in a brine. A brine is nothing more than a saltwater-based marinade. This one may contain a lot of ingredients, but it's really simple to make. So first, the whole spices: cinnamon and cloves, which you know, and fennel seed, and star anise, which has a smoky licorice flavor. Roast the whole spices in a dry skillet over medium heat until they start to release some of their aromatic oils. Next, coriander, hot pepper flakes, dried thyme, chopped flat leaf parsley, cocoa powder, bay leaves. Don't forget to stir your roasted spices so they don't burn. Granulated sugar, brown sugar, coarse sea salt. We're going to have a contrast of sweet and salty in this brine. And then chipotle chilies, which are smoked jalapeno chilies for both heat and smoke. And the juices from the chipotle chilies, those are called adobo. Garlic, and a little liquid smoke. And last of all, the roasted spices, and the aromatic oils are incredible. Okay, place these ingredients in a large container and add water at room temperature. See, I'll just use it to dissolve those spices. Now whisk this mixture until the sugar and salt is dissolved. And that's all there is to making the brine. This is a 6-pound roasting chicken. Let me show you a cool way to truss it. First of all, tuck the wingtips under the wings. And then come in with a bamboo skewer through and under the bone in one drumstick. Then twist it around. Come through and under the bone of the other drumstick. Then twist the skewer and poke it through the bottom of the bird. By the way, I learned this technique from my son Jake, who's a chef in New York. And why do you truss a chicken? Well, it just looks more pleasing than a bird that's sort of flopping all over the place. Place the chicken in the brine. Make sure the brine is cold. To keep the bird submerged, you can place a zip-top bag filled with water on top. Okay, place the brine chicken in the refrigerator and marinate it for 24 hours. I told you this would be simple. The beauty of the brine is that it makes the bird moist. This brine also contains a tremendous amount of flavor thanks to the fresh herbs, the chipotle chilies, cinnamon sticks. If you've ever found grilled chicken to be bland, this is for you. Well, this chicken has been brined for 24 hours. Just take it out of the brine and put it over here to drain. How does brining work? Well, remember your high school chemistry? It's a process called osmosis. The brine has a greater mineral density than the liquid in the chicken. It wants to achieve equilibrium, so the brine actually flows into the chicken, making the chicken both moist and incredibly flavorful. Now, there are lots of grills and smokers you could use to cook the chicken. We're using a pellet smoker, and pellet smokers have gotten a lot of attention recently. How do they work? Well, they use these pellets of compressed hardwood sawdust, and you place the pellets in the hopper, then turn on the smoker, and at a lower temperature, the smoker smokes only. You can also increase the temperature to a higher temperature to roast, so it's kind of a smoker roaster. So put the chicken in the smoker. And I'm going to smoke roast it at 325 degrees for about 2 hours. Chicken presents a very unique set of problems for the grill master. Why? First of all, it must be cooked completely, all the way through. Okay, you cannot serve rare or medium rare chicken in this day and age without taking your life in your hands. Second of all, chicken is loaded with fat, especially American chicken. So if you use the wrong method, let's say if you try and direct grill fatty piece of chicken with the skin on, your grill will soon turn into a flaming conflagration. The chicken looks perfect, but we'll check, as we always do, with an instant read meat thermometer, looking for 170 degrees at the thigh. Excellent. So now we can take out the bird. You may be surprised that I roasted the chicken at such a high temperature, 350 degrees. Well, the reason is simple. If you want crackling, crisp skin, you have to cook it at a higher temperature. So let's see how we did here. This is so juicy and the spice flavor is incredible. So the next time you want to grill moist chicken, don't forget to brine it. Well, the first time I had chicken under a brick was in Florence in Tuscany in Italy. There are actually two regions in Italy that claim its parentage, Rome and Tuscany, both very serious eating places, I may add. They both claim to have invented it. It's a pretty important dish. Travel the world's barbecue trail and you'll find poultry under a brick on several continents. There are many advantages. The brick seems to compact the flesh, keeping it moist and giving you crackling, crisp skin. Besides, the process looks really tough, and you can never underestimate the importance of looking cool at the grill. This is a game hen, and the first step is to remove the backbone by making lengthwise cuts with poultry shears. What I'm doing here is called spatchcocking, and it enables you to cook a whole bird using direct grilling. So open the game hen up like a book, insert the tip of the knife through the breastbone, and then simply run your fingers along the sternum and pop out the bone. Next, make a cut in the skin between the legs and tuck the ends of the drumsticks through the slit. Finally, tuck the wingtips under the wings. And that is all there is to spatchcocking a game hen. You can see you'll be able to direct grill this like a chicken breast. There's another advantage to spatchcocking, and that is because you take a big round bird and you flatten it out, you maximize the amount of surface area exposed to both the marinade and the seasonings and also the fire. So it's a great way to enhance the flavor of chicken or game hen. Now, the marinade is a sort of pesto made without the nuts and cheese. It starts with fresh basil, whole garlic, salt, freshly ground black pepper. And grind these ingredients together. Then add the liquid ingredients, extra virgin olive oil, freshly squeezed lemon juice, and enough water to thin the mixture to pourable consistency. And pour the marinade over the game hens. That basil has such a great fresh smell. Lift the game hens up to make sure the marinade coats both sides. Then put the game hens in the refrigerator and marinate for at least 4 hours or as long as overnight. Now the brick, and when I said brick, I really mean it. The ideal brick is one of these shallow paving bricks. And you wrap it in aluminum foil, shiny side out. You can also use a metal grill press. So I'm working on a gas grill, which I have preheated to medium-high. Don't forget to give the grill a quick brush with your wire brush and oil the grate with either a folded paper towel or a cotton oiling cloth dipped in vegetable oil. No need to use extra virgin olive oil. Okay, now the cool part. Cooking time about 8 to 12 minutes. By the way, even though this is an oil-based marinade, check it out, there are really no flare-ups. And I'm going to leave the grill lid open. First of all, I want to monitor the cooking. Second of all, this process looks so cool. I want to make sure everybody sees it. The beauty of the stone is that it presses and compacts the meat, which gives the meat and the skin a very crusty consistency. Another advantage is because you're cooking the chicken covered, it prevents it from drying out. And if you like, you can give each hen a quarter turn to lay on a crosshatch of grill marks. You know what a fanatic I am about my grill marks. Italians call this pollo al matone. Mexicans call it pollo a la piedra. I call it a fantastic way to grill poultry. So how do you know when it's time to turn the bird? Cook the hens until golden brown on one side, and then you can turn each one over. Don't be afraid to get in there with your hands. Okay, well the game hens look done. How do I know? Give them the poke test. They feel firm to the touch. Of course, another way to check is with our trusty instant read meat thermometer. Insert it into the deepest part of the thigh. It should read about 170 degrees. These birds are crusty and beautiful. Game hens under a brick, because some questions in barbecue deserve a weighty response. If you love chicken and you love basil, this is paradise. So now you know the secret to grilling poultry without undercooking it or burning it. See you next time. Can grilling make an ordinary cook extraordinary? Well, I sure like to think so, but you have to know what you're doing. And a lot of people confuse grilling with burning. Okay, grilled food is great, burnt food is not so great. What we try and do on the Primal Grill is teach you how to grill food, not burn it. Trout grilled in prosciutto with lemon and dill. This actually crunches when you bite into it. swordfish steak and bake with mango salsa. A fried fish sandwich never tasted so good. And a spectacular cedar plank salmon with miso glaze. It is so neat the way that cedar aroma flavors the fish. 3 great ways to grill fish. No fears, no tears. I'm Stephen Reichland, and from the beautiful Tubac Golf Resort in southern Arizona, it's time to fire up the grill. To judge from your emails, a lot of people have problems grilling fish. Does your fish A, stick to the grill grate, B, break when you try and turn it, C, come out raw in the center, or D, hopelessly overcooked? Well, if one of these problems sound familiar, listen up. I'm going to show you 3 great fail-proof ways to grill fish. Planking is about the easiest way I know of to grill fish, and because you cook it on a plank in one fell swoop, you eliminate the problem of fish sticking to the grill grate and the fish falling apart when you turn it. Plank salmon burst upon the American grill scene in the 1990s. It was love at first bite and first sight. We loved the incredible aroma of the soaked cedar plank, and we loved how outrageously cool the plank salmon looked on the grill. I have here wild sockeye salmon. Normally it comes with the bones removed, but you can always run your finger over the top of the fillet, and if you find a bone, just pull it out with a needle nose plier. So, first step, turn the salmon over, lightly brush the bottom with olive oil or sesame oil, then season with coarse salt and freshly ground or cracked black peppercorns. Place the salmon on the soaked cedar plank, and it's really important, folks, to soak the planks so that they steam rather than catch fire. Now, season the top again with a little bit of coarse sea salt and cracked black pepper. Okay, in keeping with the pack rim origins of this dish, we'll top the fish with a miso glaze. Miso is a cultured soybean paste from Japan. It's sweet and salty, and you can use many different varieties. This is white miso, this is red miso. Both are excellent for this dish. Combine equal parts miso and mayonnaise, then add sugar, freshly grated lemon zest, and white pepper, and whisk these ingredients together to make a smooth glaze. Okay, so spread the miso glaze on top of the salmon, and you just want enough to coat the entire fish. And there's your plank salmon ready for grilling. Now, if you want a slightly more formal version of this dish, you can use individual cedar planks. Cut your fish. We'll take a nice center cut section here, and we can cut about a 2-inch piece. Place the fish running diagonal to the board. And again, we season with coarse salt and our cracked or freshly ground black pepper, and spread the fish with the glaze. Let me show you how I've set up the grill. Now, we're going to indirect grill the salmon, but I like to preheat it with all 6 burners on, so it's really screaming hot. We'll put the big plank and the small planks in the front, and turn off the burners that are directly under the planks, okay? So classic indirect grilling, but you want to work at a slightly higher temperature. Then close the grill. Take about 20 to 30 minutes for the fish. Meanwhile, let me show you a great fennel fresh orange slaw to serve with the plank salmon. Fennel makes a great slaw to serve with grilled salmon because it's sweet and licoricy, so it sort of plays off the sweetness in the miso. So the part we use the fennel for the slaw is the bulb, but you can also use the leaves as an herb and garnish. So thinly sliced fennel in the bowl. These are fresh orange segments, very light, fresh slaw. The fennel leaves, finely chopped garlic, fresh lemon juice, extra virgin olive oil, salt, coarse sea salt, and freshly ground black pepper. Simply toss these ingredients together. The clean licoricy flavor of fennel makes a great accompaniment for fish. So I'll just simply transfer this to a serving bowl. And you can garnish it with a sprig of fennel leaves. Plankfish is traditionally associated with the Pacific Northwest. I have, however, seen 19th century recipes for plankfish that originate on the East Coast. I think it's one of those ideas that just sprang up in many places at once. It's been about 25 minutes, and the fish is cooked to perfection. And the way you tell it's done, squeeze the sides and you'll feel it will break into clean flakes. Now, the beauty of plank salmon is that A, the fish never touches the grate, so it won't stick to the grill grate. And B, because you cook it on one side, you don't need to worry about turning it. There's your plank salmon with miso glaze and orange and fennel slaw. Looks pretty terrific. Let's see how we did. It is so neat the way that cedar aroma flavors the fish. And let me just take a bite of the fennel orange slaw here. This dish really came together in about a half an hour. So it's something you could make on a busy weeknight. The biggest challenge with grilling trout, pretty much like grilling every fish, is leaving some portion of it stuck to the grill grate when you go to turn it or remove it from the grill. Well, I had the idea to use paper-thin slices of prosciutto. It looks really cool, and it works great. Your fish will not stick to the grill grate. Remember that American camping classic, trout cooked with bacon over an open fire? Well, here's the uptown version, featuring trout stuffed with lemon and dill and wrapped and grilled in prosciutto. It's another strategy for keeping fish from sticking to the grill grate. We have beautiful Idaho trout here, and the first step is to trim off the fins using kitchen shears. This is purely aesthetic, but remember, we eat with our eyes as well as our palate. Next, open up the trout and season it first with coarse salt and cracked or freshly ground black pepper, finely chopped fresh dill, and a couple slices of lemon. And then to keep the fish nice and moist, you can squirt it with a little extra virgin olive oil. The next step is wrapping and tying the fish. So cut yourself about 12 or 14 inches of butcher string. This must be real cotton string, by the way, and not synthetic. And lay a slice of prosciutto ham on top. Next, lay the fish on top of the prosciutto, and you can season the outside with a little bit more salt and pepper. Lay another slice of prosciutto on top of the trout, And then tie the prosciutto in place with the string. Now, this is a cool knot I learned from one of my students who's a surgeon. You loop through twice and pull the string, and that second loop actually locks the string in place. So you can tie it like a conventional knot. And the last step, again, just to prevent sticking, brush the tops of the trout with a little vegetable oil or olive oil. Let me show you the grill. Here's a new grill to add to your collection. It belongs to a family of grills called the Kamado cooker. Now, it has several features, and the first is this venting system, which allows you to go from a very low heat to a very high heat in a matter of seconds. The second are these thick ceramic walls, which work great for holding in heat and moisture. We'll simply place the grill grate in the grill. Now put the trout on. And when you place the trout on the grill, go oil side down to start. Close the grill lid and adjust these vents so that you attain a grilling temperature of about 350 degrees. It's that simple to control the heat. Okay, don't forget to check on your fish, and it helps to have a big head spatula to turn the fish. Let's take a look. And if one fish is cooking faster than the other, all you need to do is just change positions. In general, the fish in the center cook a little bit more quickly than the fish on the outside. And you can see these are not sticking at all. Here's a lemon dill mustard sauce that goes great with any grilled fish, especially trout. It starts with mayonnaise, sour cream, mustard, and I like Dijon mustard for this, but you could also use a honey mustard if you want a touch of sweetness, lemon zest, chopped fresh dill, which reinforce the lemon dill flavor in the trout, and finally, fresh lemon juice. Simply whisk the ingredients together. You can see I'm working over ice. Always a good idea to keep any mayonnaise-based sauce over ice. And that's the sauce. I think the trout are ready. Wow, they look fantastic. So how do you know they're cooked? Well, first of all, they're golden brown. You press the trout, and you can feel the meat sort of flake under your finger. And if you really want to make sure, you can make a little cut in the back of the trout and just check that the meat next to the bone is fully cooked. So, let's take off the trout. And I love to serve grilled fish on a banana leaf. We'll take this one off, and you can see we have absolutely no sticking. And of course, don't forget to remove the string. Secret number 2 for no-stick fish, wrap it in prosciutto or bacon. Now let's see how we did here. Cut a little piece of fish and our mustard dill sauce. This is really delicious. What's nice is how the prosciutto flavors the trout, and it also gets almost crackling crisp, so this actually crunches when you bite into it. Many years ago, when I first started traveling the world's barbecue trail, I went to the islands of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. And shark and bake is a popular beach food. Now, it's not actually grilled. Traditionally, the shark is seasoned with local herbs and deep fried. And the bake is actually a flatbread that is also deep fried. But I thought, wouldn't it be great if you could take these 2 deep fried dishes and cook them on the grill? I've always believed that if something tastes good baked, fried, or sautéed, it probably tastes even better grilled. It brings us to the third secret of non-stick fish grilling. Choose a firm steak fish like swordfish, shark, or tuna. I'm using swordfish. So the first step in any Trinidadian recipe is to make what's called the paramin seasoning. It begins with chopped fresh scallion, shallot, garlic, celery, chopped fresh parsley and cilantro, chopped fresh mint, thyme. We have chopped bell peppers and Scotch bonnet chilies. And the Scotch bonnet, sometimes known as the habanero, is the world's hottest chili, 50 times hotter than a jalapeno. Next, add fresh lime juice, about 3/4 of a cup of water, salt, and pepper to taste. Puree these ingredients in a blender. By the way, when you make any seasoning, always taste it to make sure it's got enough salt and pepper. Woo! That's pretty hot. So we'll pour the paramin seasoning over the swordfish or shark. And you want to turn each piece of fish to coat with seasoning on both sides. Marinate the fish for 3 to 4 hours, and you can see I've got it over a pan of ice to keep it cold. So while the fish is marinating, let me show you how to make the bakes. Bakes are a basic flatbread. You begin with yeast and sugar. To this mixture, add a tablespoon of warm water and stir to dissolve the yeast. Okay. I have here 2½ cups of flour. And to this, I'll add salt, baking powder, the yeast mixture, and enough water to obtain a thick but pliable dough. And process the ingredients until the dough comes together into a sort of smooth ball. Now, what you want to do is oil a large bowl, and then you can flour your fingers and pull the dough out of the processor and form a smooth ball. And place it in the bowl. Cover the bowl with plastic wrap and let the dough rise until doubled in bulk. That will take about an hour. Now, you may not see bread making supplies by the grill side at most American barbecues, but you know what? As you travel around the world's barbecue trail, grilled bread is a constant. Okay, we've got the bake. We've got the swordfish. The final component is the mango salsa. It starts with diced ripe mango, cucumber for crunch, red bell pepper for color, finely chopped scallion, and fiery Scotch bonnet chili for flavor, a little brown sugar for sweetness, candied ginger for punch, rice vinegar, and chopped fresh mint. Simply toss these ingredients together. Now, this may seem a little complicated, but each part can be prepared well ahead of time. You can see the dough has risen till doubled in bulk, and I just divided it into 4 balls. Take a ball of dough and put it on your cutting board. You want to roll it out with a rolling pin. And actually, you'll see pit masters in India doing this with naan right at the side of the grill. Okay, so now comes the moment of truth. We grill the bread. And we'll start by oiling the grill grate, as we always do. We're using these twin portable gas grills. And next, brush the top of each flatbread with oil. And arrange the flatbread oiled side down on the hot grate. And while the breads are grilling, brush the tops with oil. So once the dough starts to bubble on top, just give each bake a turn and cook the other side the same way. Look how the dough blisters. And you can brush the bakes with a little more oil. Now let's grill the swordfish. On goes the Paramin marinated swordfish. Okay, and the fish is ready for turning. Wow, look at that. You can really smell the aroma of the Scotch bonnet chili. And it'll just be another minute. Meanwhile, I'll take off the bakes. And that is some grilled bread. Okay, by now the swordfish should be cooked. And remember, we use that flake test. I press the fish and it breaks into clean flakes. Because the swordfish is so thin, it cooks really quickly. So here's the fish and here's the bake. Let me show you how to put it together. Take a flatbread and a piece of fish and a spoonful of the salsa. Fish and bake, because a fried fish sandwich never tasted so good. So there you have it. Fish on a plank, fish in a wrap, fish and bake, fish that doesn't stick to the grill grate. See you next time. Fish is one of the most challenging foods to grill. And it's challenging because A, it either sticks to the grill grate, or B, it falls apart when you try and turn it. And listen, I have as much trouble with it as everybody else. I decided to dedicate this show to grilling fish, and in particular to 3 methods that solve those 2 problems: fish sticking to the grill grate and fish falling apart when you turn it. Portobello mushroom burgers. It's a burger so big in flavor, you won't even miss the beef. Grilled pepper salad. This is a great recipe for people who have a tendency to burn their food. Vegetable paella. It's enough to make a carnivore green with envy. And smoke roasted apples. No meat, all flavor. The Vegetarian Grill. I'm Stephen Reichland, and from the beautiful Tubac Golf Resort in southern Arizona, it's time to grill. A vegetarian at a barbecue is like a thirsty man in the desert. But in some countries, like Japan and India, some of the most exciting food to come off the grill is meatless. Whether you're a full-time vegetarian or you just want to cut back on the meat sometimes, this show has you covered. Grilling in the embers. This is one of my favorite ways to cook, and it's certainly one of the most primal. In fact, the first barbecue 500,000 or 600,000 years ago probably looked very much like this. The food was laid right on top of the embers. I first saw this procedure in Mexico, where it was used to make salsa. Here, I used the technique to create a ember-roasted pepper salad. Did you ever wonder what the first barbecue looked like? Probably something like this. It's the best way I know to make a roasted pepper salad, and you don't even need a grill grate. Start with sweet red, yellow, and green bell peppers and lay them directly on the embers. This is a great recipe for people who have a tendency to burn their food. And roast the peppers until charred on all sides, about 3 to 4 minutes per side. Transfer them to a plate and let cool to room temperature. Then scrape the burnt skin off the pepper. See how easily it comes off? Charring the peppers in the embers this way looks cool, but it also caramelizes the natural plant sugars, making the peppers incredibly sweet and smoky. Once the skin is off, simply cut the pepper open, cut out the stem end, scrape out the seeds, and cut the peppers into strips. Then arrange the strips on the platter. It's as colorful as a Van Gogh. Now the dressing. Start with 1 clove minced garlic. Add salt, freshly ground black pepper, and sherry vinegar, or wine vinegar, and whisk until the salt crystals are dissolved. Then whisk in a few tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Spoon the vinaigrette over the pepper salads. Finally, sprinkle each salad with currants for sweetness. Capers for tanginess. Pine nuts for crunch. Feta cheese for a burst of saltiness. And finely chopped flat leaf parsley. Never did burning your food look or taste so great. Let's see how we did. When I was writing my first barbecue book, both my wife and my daughter went vegetarian on me. So you'll notice in all of my books I have a disproportionately large chapter on meatless grilled dishes. At the time, it was a matter of self-defense. But you know, it's a good thing because there are a lot of vegetarians and they deserve more than just hamburger buns and potato salad at a barbecue. The portobello is one of the meatiest of all mushrooms, which makes it a perfect candidate for a meatless burger. The portobello is a jumbo cousin of the button mushroom. Wipe it clean with a damp paper towel. You never want to soak porous mushrooms in water. Arrange the mushrooms in a baking dish. Next thing I want to show you is the onion. Cut crosswise into half-inch slices, and here's a cool technique. If you skewer the onion crosswise, it won't fall apart on the grill. You're probably familiar with these, but in case you're not, poblano chili, think of it as a turbocharged green bell pepper. Let me show you the marinade. It starts with chipotle chilies, which are smoked jalapeno peppers. Next, add garlic. Chopped fresh onion. Balsamic vinegar. Extra virgin olive oil. And a little salt and pepper. Puree the ingredients to a smooth paste. Pour the marinade over the portobello mushrooms. You can see I have the mushrooms gill side up. That's the side that will absorb most of the flavor. And using a spoon, just spread it into the gills. There is very little food or food culture left that is truly local. And one of those foods is barbecue. Barbecue is some of the last truly indigenous, truly local food there is. And it's been important for me to travel around the world documenting authentic barbecue in places as far-flung as Indonesia, as Mexico, as Argentina. And to teach Americans not only how to prepare them here, but to appreciate them. I've set up the grill for direct grilling, and I'm using a 3-zone fire. That means the first 3 burners are set on high for searing, 2 burners on medium for the more delicate foods like grilling the hamburger buns, and 1 zone completely off. That's my safety zones. And we'll continue by brushing the grill grate with a stiff wire brush and oiling the grate with either a cloth grill oiler or a folded paper towel, dipped in oil and drawn across the bars of the grate. Okay, we're ready to grill. So just before you start grilling, brush the onion slices with melted butter. And season with salt and pepper. And while you're at it, brush the buns. I'm using ciabatta bread. The poblano chilies take the longest to cook, so they go on first. You can also put on the onions. The buns go on at the last minute. Now put on the mushrooms. And I like to start grilling the mushrooms gill side down. You'll see why in a second. And finally, toast the buns on the grill. And remember, the buns will grill in a matter almost of seconds. It's time to turn the onions. And turn the poblano chiles, and don't worry about burning the outside. You actually want to char and blister the skin. That will give the poblanos a terrific flavor. Turn the portobello mushrooms. And at this point, if you have any extra marinade, you can spread a little on top. Okay, and the buns are toasted beautifully. You know, a lot of people forget to grill the buns, but for me, this is what makes a great burger. Then the portobellos, and you can actually see the juices sizzling. Then the poblano chilies. And finally, the onions. You see how the skewers kept the onion rings from falling apart. So here's how it goes together. Bun, chipotle marinated portobello, a slice of pepper jack cheese, then our fire roasted poblano chili, then a grilled onion, remember to pull out the skewer, then some sliced fresh avocado, and finally the top bun. It's a burger so big in flavor, you won't even miss the beef. To most Americans, a paella means rice with seafood and chicken and sausage. But in fact, in Spain, there are dozens, perhaps hundreds of different varieties of paella. So the notion of a meatless paella would not seem so strange. Paella belongs to a family of great rice dishes that includes jambalaya and risotto. But as far as I know, paella is the only rice dish that's traditionally cooked over a campfire. Here's a great showstopper for a meatless meal: paella grilled over wood. I've fired up 2 kettle grills, but instead of charcoal, I've used oak logs. The first will be used for grilling my vegetables, the second for cooking the paella. Paella is simple to make. It only takes about a half an hour from start to finish, but you need to know about a few special ingredients. The first is saffron, the world's costliest spice, which comes from an aromatic crocus. The second is piquillo peppers. The third is pimenton, smoked paprika. And the fourth, of course, is the rice. The traditional Spanish rice is called bomba. You can also use Italian arborio. The traditional pan is a paella pan, which you can find at any Spanish market. Alternatively, you could use a cast iron skillet. Place the paella pan with a little olive oil on the grill and preheat the oil. People think of me as a cooking teacher. I've been called the barbecue guru or the gladiator of the grill. In fact, I see myself as a cultural anthropologist, and I see my job is taking my readers and my viewers around the world, discovering these incredible local traditional barbecue dishes all over Planet Barbecue. That is my mission. The next step is to make the sofrito, an aromatic mixture of onions, peppers, tomatoes, and garlic. So start by adding the onions, peppers, okay, stir these ingredients together. Next, add the garlic and tomatoes. You add the garlic after a few minutes because it burns more quickly than the onions and peppers. Once the garlic has lost its rawness, add the tomatoes, saffron, and you see I soak the saffron in water to release its flavor, and smoked paprika. You might ask, well, what's the purpose of cooking something in a pan over a wood fire? Well, in fact, you can see the smoke curling up right up over the edge of the paella pan. That's going to add plenty of flavor to the paella. Once the sofrito is fragrant and beginning to brown, add the bomba rice. Cook the rice until the grains are shiny. Then add dry white wine and vegetable stock. Give the rice a stir and let it cook. Meanwhile, I'll show you how to grill the vegetables. The vegetables for the paella are limited only to your imagination. The short list might include zucchini, yellow squash, eggplant, onion, mini bell peppers, tomatoes, and garlic. Note for the onion slices, I've pinned them with toothpicks. That will keep them from falling apart on the grill. Note on the garlic, I have skewered the garlic cloves as well. That keeps the individual cloves from falling through the bars of the grate. I've set up the grill in a configuration called a 3-zone fire. A lot of wood on one side, that's my hot zone. A few embers in the middle, that's my medium zone, and a cool or safety zone where I can move the vegetables if they start to burn. So let's see, the onions take the longest. We'll put those on first. Followed by the squash, zucchini, eggplant, mini bell peppers, garlic cloves, baby tomatoes, and baby onions. The precise recipe is much less important than what looks good and fresh. And for a little extra flavor while the vegetables are grilling, you can baste them with extra virgin olive oil and your favorite Mediterranean herb rub. Cooking time for the vegetables, about 3 to 6 minutes per side, just until each is golden brown. We live in this incredible melting pot culture, and we have a gift. We have a wonderful curiosity about the way people cook and eat in other countries, and we have this gift of bringing it and making it part of our own. So here are the grilled vegetables. Don't forget to remove all the skewers. You know, there is nothing like the high, dry heat of a grill to caramelize the plant sugars and bring out a vegetable's sweetness. Okay, let's finish the paella. So you can see the vegetable stock has been absorbed, and the rice is tender. The next step is simply to add the chickpeas, piquillo peppers, all of our grilled vegetables. Stir in the vegetables. And don't forget the parsley. Is there anything more beautiful than grilled vegetables? Paella on a wood-burning grill. It's enough to make a carnivore green with envy. Smoke-roasted, quote-unquote, baked apples may seem newfangled, but in fact, they're as old as New England itself. Back in colonial times, most homes did not have ovens, so the baking was done in what was called a Dutch oven, a large, heavy cast iron pot with a metal lid with a depression in the center. And the pot would be set on the embers in the fireplace, and additional coals or embers would be shoveled in top. That's really where the idea for this dish came. A baked apple may be delicious, but there's a way to make it better. You guessed it. Cook it in a smoker. The first step is to make a grilling ring. Take a piece of aluminum foil, crumple it into a sort of donut, or you can use a commercial grilling ring. Hollow out the apple using a melon bowler. You want to remove the seeds and core, but not cut through the bottom so the apple will hold the filling. Add a spoonful of apricot jam, then a spoonful of cream cheese, then brown sugar, and finally a pat of butter. What's going to happen as the apple smokes, the butter will melt into the sugar will melt into the cream cheese will melt into the apricot jam, and the whole shebang will melt into the apple. This is a water smoker. You can see I have a chimney's worth of lit charcoal in the bottom. Next, place the water pan in the center. And because I'm smoking apples today, instead of water, I'm going to place apple cider in the water pan. Next, you can put the lower rack over the water pan. And let's say if you were cooking 16 or 20 apples, you'd use both racks. And arrange the apples on the upper grate. Finally, place the dome lid on top of the smoker and adjust the vent holes so that they're wide open. To generate the wood smoke, take a couple of wood chunks. I'm using apple here to stay